I don't think I've ever had so much hatred and love for a statue at the same time. And I still don't know where to put this.
That's what she said.
To give back to you guys, the Extreme Channel is giving away this giant Goro statue from PCS for our 20,000 sub giveaway. If you want to know how to win this, I'll tell you a little bit later in this video.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're taking a look at another Berserk piece. Berserk is an Asian series based off the life of a few different characters. The main antagonist is actually this guy right here, Griffith. This is made by Prime 1 Studios. This is a 1/4 scale representation of Griffith, the Falcon of Light. Now, I have a number of statues from Prime 1 Studios regarding this series. I think this is actually the 4th one in my collection, and I have about 5 more on order. Scratch that. 5th one in my collection. Because I already have a statue of this character. This character, Griffith, goes through a whole bunch of different stages, and I'm not through the entire series yet. I initially ended up buying one of their first pieces, Guts, right here, who's kind of the secondary hero in the story. And I absolutely love this piece. And because of that, one night I was up sick all night. And I ended up watching 3 movies that they have on Netflix about this. And I quite enjoyed them. And everyone told me that that's actually the worst part of Berserk. So I ended up reading the volumes. And I am now on volume 5, which this character hasn't really emerged into this representation yet. So Griffith is an interesting character. He came from lowly beginnings. He leads the Band of the Hawk, and he really wants to come to power. He wants to be a king. He wants to rule the land, which typically doesn't happen unless you're born into it. So he goes through tons of trials and tribulations, where eventually, to the Bayolet, I think that's what this thing is right here, he actually is transformed into an evil god demon. Now, while technically he's not a demon, I've done a review on that piece right here where he's called Femto, which is where I'm at in the series. I'm on volume 5 right now, where this statue, I believe, takes place after that. He turns back into the Falcon of Light, or a good guy. And I gotta tell you, I wasn't gonna buy this at first, but it seems like every single piece from their line eventually sells out and flips for more money. And one of the things I really don't like about Berserk is the feminine qualities of Griffith. Because honestly, before I knew about the story, I thought this was a woman. Of course, I have much worse stories where I thought it was a woman and then I didn't find out till the next morning. Now, I originally wasn't going to get this piece, but because I do know that the value goes up, I actually saw it on Comic Concepts. That's a distributor website for Prime 1 plus a lot of other places, and I ended up doing it. They got me a better deal than the normal distributors, and the shipping was a lot cheaper as well, because this did come in 2 large boxes. You'll see that when we get to design. And then after this order, I ended up having like 15 more through them. They're kind of my new go-to for Prime 1 Studios pieces. I'll throw a link in the description below. It's not an affiliate link or anything, but definitely worth checking out. So let's dive into an extreme review, and if I look exhausted, I am for so many different reasons. I had a lot of issues with this thing. As I said in the intro, I absolutely love this statue and I hate it at the same time. But let's kick it off, and we're going to start with concept. Now, because I'm not to this part of the story, I'm sure there's aspects of this statue within the concept that I don't know or appreciate yet. But let's take a look. So on the bottom, they have this museum-style sub-base. They all have very similar featured bases, this metallic feel with some writing on it. Then instead of the brand of sacrifice like a lot of the other pieces, it has a Griffith Falcon of Light symbol on the front. It has a rocky base, and then the Bayolet, I think that's how it's pronounced, is this giant egg that has some magical powers that initially was smaller, then he was hatched out of it. And there's feathers all over the place, and I assume this is part of when he was reborn. And again, I'm not to that part of the story yet. He is fully armored up. There are swords everywhere. There are 5 different swords in the base, plus the one I can't find the place for. He's holding another one. He has falcons flying all over him. He looks like a king. He's very majestic. He has his armor. Here he has his helmet on his side, and he's just looking off into the future. These are all museum-style poses. This just looks magnificent. The paint and sculpt really set this apart, which we're going to get into that in a second. But I love the presence of this piece in person. I would say of all the pieces I own, a lot of them, or most of them, look better in real life. This is probably in the top 3 that just looks unbelievable in real life, and video or pictures just do not do it justice. Now, because I don't know what some of the aspects of the base and Griffith himself tie to the story, I can't fully judge the concept, to be honest with you. I don't even feel comfortable giving it a score. But I'll tell you this, I really like it. However, we will score the design. And there was some significant obstacles and some significant issues. So first thing I want to do is check out the unboxing.
Usually a 1/4 scale statue is 1 box, but this was 2 because there's so many pieces to it. Has the standard Prime 1 Berserk art boxes with the picture of the statue and some of the other Berserk stuff going on. There were 3 layers total in the 2 boxes, and you can imagine my surprise when there were so many different pieces. I was pretty shocked, and that's what took the assembly so long, which is what you're going to see in a second. You also see a blank spot right there for some not exclusive pieces, but pieces you can only get if you bought from a certain distributor, which we'll talk about later. And here is the final layer with the base and the huge cape.
So many different pieces. Now there were instructions included, but there are those tiny little pictures where you can't even see what goes where. It's kind of like fooling around in the dark. And I had hindsight as well. You may have noticed when I was assembling his head, it wasn't sitting flush. So as I pushed it in, it actually broke off part of the collar. So I re-glued it. You can see it right here. It sucks. It is what it is. And I remember seeing on a Facebook post multiple people say how there were issues with the head. It's a very frustrating unboxing, especially when I was listening to a conference call and I was trying to put everything together in front of the camera so you could see it, and I still failed at some of that. And I still don't know where the hell this sword goes. But let's get the dimensions. So the widest point, well, the base itself is about maybe a 13-inch diameter, but the widest point where the swords stick out is about 20 inches. The deepest point is probably about 14 and a half or so. And the tallest point is this Falcon's wing, a little under 28 inches. Now these pieces do require a lot of space. I'm actually putting it up right behind the camera next to the femto piece. If you want to see what that looks like, make sure to check out the Extreme Channel Facebook and Instagram because I post exclusive content on there. Also, Mr. X is now on TikTok, so I'll probably do a little video and throw it on TikTok as well. Now, for my particular one, there are no switch outs because this is the regular edition. However, there are two different versions. First is the exclusive. So this right here, you get another egg that you could put with it, which I think is cool, but it's kind of already on the base. Then if you bought directly from Prime One Studios, they did have something I would have liked, is this switch out armored head. This is pretty cool. So definitely some negatives because of the design. Also, when I put on the cape, One other thing I failed to mention is there's some pieces sticking in the back here that almost broke off when I put on the cape and I set it in properly. So definitely I think the design isn't necessarily bad other than the huge head issue, but it's just a very ambitious piece which creates a lot of problems. Because I remember the head issue is common, I have to give the design a 3 out of 5 on this. Now you're wondering why I'm not rating it lower, because all put together, it looks fantastic. I mean, it really looks like this Falcon and these are actually flying. I love everything about just the conceptual part. So the design, ambitious, definitely some issues, but I think in the end it works. But paint and sculpt is where this piece really, really shines. I am so impressed with it. So there's so much going on with this piece, and we'll kind of start at the bottom here. This sub base right here, very similar to the rest of them, has a little bit of brown mixed in where that writing is. There's the Griffith symbol on the front, which, like I said, I haven't seen yet in the comics. Look at the stone. I think they did a really nice job. You don't see a lot of it here, but I like the texture on it. I like the different coloring that they added, some browns and whites and greens. These feathers look great, especially for sculpted feathers. A lot of detail. You can see the lines in there, the grays, colors they mix with the whites, how they kind of bend over in certain areas. They look like they're falling. Then the egg or bayonet right here looks freaky. And if you're unfamiliar with Berserk at all, quite a few of the statues have something similar to this, like that femto, it's actually hatching out of one. It's kind of what the hell is that, but I love those dark red colors they used and kind of the transition to the lighter color there. And then the freaky eye almost looks 3D. Now all the swords are metal, which I really appreciate. And I love how they spent time on, different hilts and just the detail in there. Very impressive. His armor is more of a dull armor. It's just not shiny or metallic, which I quite like. I think it would have been overpowering, so not really a chromed look. Now it is pretty new, so it doesn't look like he's been in a lot of battles, and they've ordained it with some brown leather, the belt and the straps, and then some golden accents, whether it's feathers or just the hilt of this sword or the buckles. His sheath right there with white. And here's his helmet right here. Now the exclusive version has a fist, because obviously he wouldn't want to be wearing his helmet and holding it at the same time. Look at the feathers on the Falcon. Look even better. Not only the coloring, how it goes from a white to yellow to black on the tips, but it looks like a real Falcon. Really well done with the sculpt on that. And even the face here. More of his armor. Now his hair right here, this white / gray silky flowing hair looks fantastic. It's actually 4 different pieces as you saw in the assembly. You can see a little bit of the seam there, but nothing to get upset about. And it's not just his hair that gives him that feminine feature, but look at his face. The smaller nose, almost the larger eyes with almost a makeup look, but it looks really well done. I like the coloring on his face, the flesh tones, the sculpt of it. I think they captured the character fantastically. And then his cape. His cape to me would be the star of the show if everything else wasn't so fantastic. But look at these royal blue colors they used on the inside, and then the texture and the flow of it on the back here. You can almost see some purple tones in there. They're not showing up really well on camera, but kind of some shadowing. And then lastly, kind of the clothes right here. This looks like it might actually be mixed media, but it's fully sculpted. And yes, I am focusing on his junk a lot. Just a fantastic piece, every piece of this, every part of it. Really impressed. Prime One Studios did a fantastic job. All right, so let's first talk about the paint. I love every part of it. I think it's done phenomenally on every level. To see these characters put into color is just amazing. It's a 5 out of 5 on the paint for sure. And I think the sculpt is equally as impressive. This really blows me away. It kind of shocks me how much I like this compared to the other ones, because I love the other ones. I think the sculpt's a 5 out of 5 on this. Very impressed. So let's talk about value. Now they made 900 of these, and they retailed right around $1,000. Plus I paid under $100 for shipping. So I think the value is really good. It seems like all of the Berserk line, because it has a huge worldwide audience and more people are actually getting into it like me, I think will definitely hold its value despite the broken issue. But I think the value is a 4 out of 5. I could definitely see this flipping for more once it's sold out. Now, does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5? You know, there's so much going on with this piece, especially the falcons flying on the side and the swords, the feathers all over. Even with how much I hate how feminine Griffith looks, I love this piece. I think it's a 5 out of 5. I love this statue. It's a fantastic job by Prime One Studios. So happy that I got it. Zero regrets, 100%.
To win this Goro statue, first thing you got to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've actually subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Second thing is leave a comment below and make sure it's a witty, entertaining, or funny comment. Because when we hit 20,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video, and the comment that has the most likes on it will be the winner of this Goro statue. So make sure your comment is entertaining to others and entertaining to Mr. X. Because if I like it, I'm actually going to pin it to the tops to help you get more likes.
Let me know if you can see how awesome this looks on camera or not. Throw that down in the comments below. Click on that picture of me to subscribe if you haven't yet, because I have a lot more Berserk pieces coming in and we drop almost daily content here. Drop me a like on your way out. I'd really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Take care.